Hello, welcome to the Crypto with Kash podcast, episode number 19. My name is Duncan Morland. I'm your host. I'm very happy to be alive and outside among the trees. And I'm joined by Kashaya Bassi. Hello, Kash.
Hey, you're right. How you doing?
I'm okay. You know a lot about crypto, far more than I do. But it looks like you're sat in
I'm stuck in an
a
office,
hotel
right?
lobby.
Office/hotel lobby, whatever you want.
Nice. Is it at least warm? Have they got air conditioning in there?
Air conditioning, warm, but I'd rather be where you are.
Yeah, this lovely picturesque Alice in Wonderland
It looks
scene.
like Hyde Park.
Yeah, this isn't working at all for anyone that's just listening to the audio either. Okay, so we're here to talk about cryptocurrencies once again, and we've got three good topics, I think. Actually, first of all, Kash, before we launch into that, how are you today?
I'm all good, thank you. All good.
Yeah,
Just been doing some research, the same as usual.
Crypto research or other kind of research?
Crypto research. There's always so much going on. It's always good to be on top of the markets.
Are you looking at specific coins, or what you?
Just a general overview. Right now, the markets seem to be moving with Bitcoin. Wherever Bitcoin goes, the rest of the market follows.
Should we?
That's a general overview.
Yeah. Well, so one of our topics is the general what's going on in the market generally at the moment, recent price action. The second is Binance investing in Pancake Swap, the decentralized exchange, and the third is an article written by Arthur Hayes, who you just told me who he is a minute ago, and I've already forgotten. Who is he, Kash?
He's the former CEO of Bitmex Exchange.
Yeah, and
the co-founder.
And he wrote an interesting article on where he sees kind of support levels for Ethereum and Bitcoin. Should we start with your research on the markets recently? And I'll share my screen, and we can just share CoinGecko. Let's have a look, shall we? 1 second. Okay, so I'll just share. So yeah, I'm seeing Bitcoin at 31,000, Ethereum at $1,800. So what are your thoughts?
So as we can see, Bitcoin's fallen back down to around the $30,000 range, which is the same level that held in the July 2021 crash. So last year, it felt like it was going to zero, and it held at held at 30,000, and it rallied up in the months that followed to new all-time highs. Now we're back at those levels again. So Bitcoin actually fell to a bottom of, I think it was 26,000 before it bounced back up. It's been ranging between 29 and 30,000 for maybe a few weeks now, actually. And now it's up 4% on the day, trading at 31,000. Since Bitcoin has bounced, many other coins have bounced as well. As you can see on the view there, many coins apart from the stable coins such as Tether and USDC, many coins are in the green.
More than in the last few weeks. Like there's actually some green.
Exactly, which is nice to see. But many coins are still red overall for the week, because we did have a bit of a sell-off earlier. But as for Ethereum, same as Ethereum, same thing for Ethereum. It fell down to the 1,800 level, which is the same level that held in the crash that we saw last year. And it's now bounced back up slightly, up around 3% on the day. Good to see. Many other coins are green today as well. Many actually in double-digit percentage points, which is good to see. There's some enthusiasm returning to the markets, but it's very difficult to say where it's headed to next.
That was my next question. What are your kind of thoughts? So do you feel this is sustainable, or like a kind of we're going to just see it hovering around here for a while? Or I know we're not about predicting the future.
I think we're going to see it hovering around this level for a while. I feel like a lot of people are just waiting to see how the macro environment develops. There's a lot of discussions about further rate hikes coming in the next couple of months. Inflation is almost out of hand at the moment, both in the UK, the US, and many other countries. So they're trying to, central banks are doing whatever it takes to try and bring that down to a manageable level. And by doing that, it's affecting the stock market and cryptos. When people have less money to spend on their necessities, they're not really going to put money into crypto and stocks. They're more focused on, trying to get their essentials, pay their bills. And that's what we're seeing right now. I think.
Yeah, and I think it does feel like that. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it doesn't feel like that aspect is going away, like people struggling with bills, like having no excess money. A lot of people not having enough to pay bills and stuff as well, listening to the radio.
Yeah, exactly.
And not really getting a lot of help from the government, etc. So I don't see that changing for.
Yeah. And actually, Bitcoin, there's a lot of discussion about how Bitcoin is going to serve as a hedge against inflation. But right now, we're not seeing that as much. In fact, the correlation between Bitcoin and the stock market has reached it's one of its highest points in history. So, which means that when the stock market moves, Bitcoin moves. And when Bitcoin moves, the rest of the crypto market moves.
Yeah, it seems like that would
see the stock market. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, unless we see the stock market, hitting new all-time highs and rallying further up, I highly doubt we're going to see Bitcoin, doing the same thing. So when the stock market goes up, I think Bitcoin will go up, but even more so than the stock market.
Yeah, so kind of like waiting for a universal return from all markets, really.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. So it might be a while longer. Next on the things you wanted to talk about, and should we maybe talk about does the Arthur Hayes article relate more to
this?
Yeah, so maybe I'll share my screen and get that up. So do you want to just give people a bit of background of what this is?
Yeah, so Arthur Hayes, he is the former CEO of Bitmex exchange, which up until the last couple of years, it was one of the biggest crypto exchanges in terms of volume. He writes regular articles related to the market and what he sees. His most recent one, which I think came out a couple of days ago, to give a brief summary, it talks about many different factors, such as the Ukraine conflict, such as inflation, such as rate hikes that we discussed. And he says that he sees the markets ranging at the same levels they are now, between 30,000. I think he mentioned 25 to 27K more specifically, saying that was the bottom for Bitcoin. And he doesn't really see it going much further than that. I think that is in response to a lot of people saying, Bitcoin's going to 10,000. Some people saying it's going down to 5,000, 2,000. So he's come out and said, I think it's going to bottom out at around 25, 27K. And Ethereum is going to bottom out at around 1,800. And again, that's in response to people saying it's going back down to $400, $300, $200.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, $10,000, $5,000 is extremely low. I just feel like now you've got institutional money investing in it, and you've got funds set up around specifically buying Bitcoin and other crypto. You've got a lot more upward pressure than you did, say, in 2018. Because I think is it Grayscale? Like they I don't know if they're one of the biggest sort of crypto funds, aren't they? Correct me if I'm wrong, Kash.
Yeah.
But,
no, they are.
And from what I can tell, they sort of started investing either after the crash in 2018, or they weren't sort of stockpiling. They were definitely they were stockpiling through the bear market, because I wrote something about it for one of our older publications, and it was almost like I was calling it like the crypto ghost trade, because while nobody was talking about it, and like JP Morgan and loads of other mainstream places were just saying, talking bad about it, there was these charts of institutional investors through the Grayscale fund just increasing holdings of Bitcoin.
Yeah,
And it was like this sort of like counter narrative, but nobody was talking about it at the time. And I should have looked at that and been like, I should buy loads of Bitcoin now, but I didn't, because the
that's what
Bitcoin
happens,
I had
when
bought had halved in price.
exactly, and that's what happens when you go on social media and you see people saying, "Oh, Bitcoin's at 30K now," and at peak fear is when people start saying, "Oh, it's going to 10,000, it's going to 5,000." A lot of times, what tends to happen is that's the perfect time to buy, because people are panicking. Panicking is at its highest point. They're capitulating. They're selling all their assets, and that's when it allows these institutions to have enough liquidity to actually buy in, and that's when you see the bounce. So yesterday was very bearish. People on Twitter were very bearish for the market. As we can see today, it's up 3 or 4%, back up above 30,000. So there are, I feel like, a lot of people say, being contrarian is how you make money in these markets, and there are certainly elements of that in this sort of space.
Yeah, I think one thing is, though, is making, like we spoke about it before, but it's having those fundamentals, because there's a lot of like rubbish coins, I won't swear, but you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of coins that just disappear and never come back, and people will buy the dip on those coins and keep buying the dip, and the dip will never, it's never a dip. Like, I don't know if Luna will be one of those coins, but it looks like it is, and people were buying it on the way down. So it is a case of like believing or having done the research in the fundamentals, like the coins you researched for the portfolio, and Bitcoin, like, and Ethereum, the kind of the blue chips of the space, I guess. Like, but yeah, what you said is exactly the sentiment. It kind of like feels like it gets old saying it, but so many people still don't act on that advice, do they? Like kind of buying when others are pooping their pants and selling when everybody's happy. But I think that's how Warren Buffett phrased it anyway. Okay, so we've got, is there anything else you wanted to say about that article or anything, or those kind of ideas?
I think it's worth reading what these people who've been in crypto for many years have to say, and perhaps more so them, these crypto native people, than maybe people outside of crypto who are chiming in, because a lot of times it feels like these institutions who are not crypto natives just say certain things to move the market to their benefit. Whereas, with these crypto native people who've been here, actually have the experience to discuss these sort of matters. There are institutions who just jump onto the crypto bandwagon, make their money and leave. Whereas, these crypto native people are going to be here for years and have been.
Yeah, I think to add to, so just the article's called "Shut It Down" and it's by Arthur Hayes, and it's on Medium. We'll put a link underneath the podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's also worth, I find it interesting to watch Vitalik Buterin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, so if not. But
I've always pronounced it as Vitalik Buterin.
Buterin, okay, yeah. So like the founder of Ethereum. A lot of his lectures are about, or like his, his talks and stuff on YouTube and his blog posts, they're about things, solutions that crypto can offer outside of, say, the financial world, outside of just making money on crypto. So, but it still kind of speaks to crypto as a long-term investment, as a solution to, a potential solution to a lot of problems that different sectors are facing.
Yeah.
So to me, that's kind of a good way to, when we're talking about sort of fundamental value in different cryptocurrencies, watching some of his talks and stuff can be really informative and kind of make you go like, it can help you step outside of that, like just watching the markets go up and down, and be like, okay, there is some like really valid use cases for these types of cryptocurrencies if his arguments make sense to you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think he's pretty engaging speaker as well, I think.
One thing I like about Vitalik is that I think he tweeted the other day something like, what is something that you've always disagreed with me about? Just trying to hear other people's perspectives and why they disagree with him. And maybe that's perhaps allowing him to like becoming more enlightened to different viewpoints that can help him, further consolidate what he believes, or perhaps even drop what he believes and move on to something that makes more sense.
Yeah.
It was good to
So
see.
yeah, if you are listening to this and you hate everything that we're saying, then let us know, and we'll talk about it.
Precisely.
Okay, so the third item on our agenda today is, and we've got another article, so I'll just get that up if it's at all interesting. Is Binance buying Pancake Swap? So Kash, can you just tell everyone what is going on here and what is Pancake Swap? What is Binance? So from the basics.
So Pancake Swap is essentially a decentralized exchange built on the Binance chain. Essentially, it's, we have Uniswap on Ethereum, we have SushiSwap on Ethereum. These are decentralized exchanges that allow users to trade directly with other users without any intermediaries. Pancake Swap essentially serves that same function, but on Binance Smart Chain, or which is now called BNB chain or Binance chain. The interesting thing is, Pancake Swap offers much faster and cheaper transactions than Ethereum, which is why maybe back when, a couple months ago, when we had the meme coin mania, a lot of people, I noticed, were going towards Pancake Swap as opposed to Uniswap coins, just because it's much cheaper to create your own coin on Binance chain. You can create your own cryptocurrency for maybe $10, which is why we saw many of these coins moving onto Binance chain from Ethereum to capitalize on this sort of trend. It's actually become one of Binance chain's most popular applications. I think it's seeing over 400,000 users on a monthly basis, and I think at its peak it was seeing, in total, was seeing something crazy, something like 160 million unique wallets. I remember reading. So 160 million different wallets have interacted with this protocol, which is huge.
Yeah, and is Pancake Swap on other blockchains, or is it native?
Pancake Swap is BNB chain. It's on the Binance chain.
Right. Okay. So, and it's presumably it's the most popular decentralized exchange on Binance.
So most meme coins you will come across, there's a very high percent chance that it will be on this blockchain, and it will be traded through Pancake. And Binance, seeing how popular this application has become, has decided to make an investment into Pancake Swap, which is really good to see. And today it's up, I think it was up around 10-20%. Of course, when people see that Binance, one of the biggest crypto exchanges in the world, and their investment arm investing in a project, that's a lot of times that's a massive green tick for other people. Which means that this company has done their due diligence, so it's technically a good investment for them as well.
I've got a question for you about Binance and Binance Smart Chain. So one of the criticisms I see leveled at, say, Solana network, and probably also at Binance, I just haven't seen it, but the same argument, is compared to like cryptocurrency platforms like Ethereum or Mina, which is still very early, like the nodes, as in like the stuff running Binance network and Solana network, is much more centralized. It's I think maybe I don't know if all of Binance Smart Chain is owned and run by Binance, but so there's this criticism that it's essentially like, even though it's using decentralized technology, and it's foregoing a lot of the benefits of that, like say if regulators come in and close stuff down, or I don't know, sort of there's a failure, or I don't know, somebody runs away with all the money. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it matters at all?
My thoughts on that are that I feel like decentralization is spectrum, in the sense that there is it's not binary to say something is decentralized or not. It's a spectrum, and different people have different opinions. So one thing that is decentralized to me may not be decentralized to someone else. There's a lot of criticisms made about these sort of Ethereum alternatives, such as Solana, such as Binance Chain, because a lot of people say that the validators or the people who are in charge, but in a decentralized way of the chain, there's not many people, there's not enough people for it to be truly considered decentralized. And these are the criticisms made, and I think ultimately it comes down to the person
Mm.
as to whether or not they believe or they want to decide whether or not that is decentralized. As it stands, Binance chain remains one of the most popular chains in the market in the world. You know, there's tons of people using the blockchain every single day. Billions of dollars are being transacted every single day. And I feel like a lot of people who are, you know, jumping onto these meme coins, they don't really care about the decentralized aspect of it. They just hear about their friends saying, "Oh, I bought this coin called Moon something, whatever. It's gone up 100% in the last week. Here's how to buy it. Jump on."
Yeah.
They don't really care about the decentralized aspect of it.
Yeah, I
and I
like
think
what
that's
you.
just the truth of it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think also I like what you said about it being a spectrum. You know, like, and there's always some element in a lot of these projects of centralization in the teams and stuff. Like, you know, it's often one team is developing it and has more control, you know, in terms of access to funds or whatever. And it does make me wonder though, because I guess sort of functionality is one reason somebody might use Ethereum, you know, might use Binance Smart Chain over Ethereum, for example, because the fees are cheaper. Another functionality might be if, you know, maybe Ethereum is more resistant to regulation than Binance in the future, and we see that in a few years' time when there's more stringent crypto regulation and Binance Smart Chain's hit harder, you know, because authorities can kind of target that easier. But the more sort of, and I think maybe you've spoke about this in the past, like the more people are kind of removed from the process of crypto and they're just using a crypto wallet and it's very easy and just moving money in and out. I remember reading in a book years ago, and it's by like Anton, I can't remember his full name, but if I remember, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And he was talking about the future of, it's a really cool book. Like he's written two, and it's like, I think they're called The Future of Money 1 and 2 or something. And a lot of them are just about like social impact of crypto and things like this. And if you like science fiction and stuff like I do, it's really cool to read them. And he was just talking about, and you see this already, like this idea that people are getting very tribal around coins and the communities around coins almost being more important than the functionality than itself. And you kind of already see that on like subreddit forums and stuff. And like people, there's very, you know, coins with like similar kind of use cases and stuff, but people are very loyal to, I guess, to their investment. You know, they have a financial investment in this. Can't remember what my original point was, but like
but I agree with you in the sense that, you know, there are Bitcoin maximalists who hate Ethereum and every other altcoin, and there are Ethereum maximalists who hate every other Ethereum alternative, such as Solana, such as Binance. You know, a lot of people criticize Binance for being centralized. You know, it's the number one cryptocurrency exchange in the world. I don't believe, my personal opinion is that I don't think crypto would be where it is today without Binance. So I feel like a lot of people have to, you know, in a sense, you know, you have to respect the fact that Binance, even though it is centralized, has gotten crypto where it is today.
Because it's popularized and made it accessible.
Yeah, I mean, just recently they've partnered up with The Weeknd, for example, one of the biggest artists in the world. They've said they're going to be investing. I think they said they're going to be donating $2 million to charity, and they're going to be sponsoring his tour. You know, millions of people are going to go to his tour, The Weeknd's tour, and see Binance's logo. They're going to, if they've never heard of Binance, they're going to Google it and hear about crypto, and that's how you onboard more people. I mean, that's one of the reasons they've invested or sponsored and partnered with The Weeknd, to get the name out there and to essentially tell more people about crypto. So yes, there may be criticisms of certain protocol or platform being too centralized, but I feel like, as I said, it's the spectrum, and I feel like sometimes you need some centralization, and maybe over time you can become more decentralized by, you know, relinquishing some of your tokens that give you governance, and then maybe relinquishing those to more of the community over time, so that it becomes a community-led project as opposed to led by the team.
Yeah, if anyone's interested in that, like a project doing that, Tornado Cash on Ethereum is a project that's done that, where it was developed by a team of people, quite a small team, I think, and then there was some kind of, like, they called it some kind of ceremony, and basically it meant that they burnt or destroyed the kind of access keys, or I don't know what the proper term is, so even the team can't stop that protocol now. It can't, if they were locked up in jail and, like, I don't know, tortured and said, you've got to stop this, you could take this down. They can't. It's just running on its own. So it's a cool project to look at generally, I think, Tornado Cash. But I was just going to say, what you're saying about Binance is right. The process of buying cryptocurrency without a centralized exchange is still a massive pain in the ass. Like, you have to go through like a decentralized exchange, which you can do. It's just time consuming. There's a lack of liquidity if you're buying in any kind of volume, and you're limited to different coins. Yeah, and it's really clunky, to be honest. Like, if you're an average person, like, you're probably not going to bother doing that. Or you can go to a Bitcoin machine, and like you say, fees are super high. If you can find a Bitcoin machine, there's some in London and stuff, but I also just don't really trust that somebody hasn't fiddled with them. But
yeah, and last I checked, I think the prices were around 10 to 15% higher than they were on exchanges, which is a crazy markup. And the question goes back to, okay, who's running these companies? Who's running the ATM companies? Who's to say they're not centralized? So you can always go to a more fundamental level. Yeah, and I guess someone might say that's centralized.
Yeah, and there's an argument for anonymous, can't say it, being anonymous when you use the machines. But London is covered in cameras, and like, if you're going anywhere in London, you're on a camera, and including a Bitcoin machine in Tony's cafe on the street I used to live on. But yeah. So I think we've covered our 3 topics pretty well. Is there any other thoughts you wanted to share with anyone today?
I think that's it. I think it's going to take a couple of months for the markets to figure themselves out. Of course, I would love to have prices going back towards all-time highs, but the reality of the situation is, I think there's far more serious things going on in the world, such as inflation, such as the Ukraine crisis. And once those figure themselves out, hopefully we'll see much higher prices. In the long run, I do see prices being much higher than they are now, but it might be a good couple of months until we get there.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for your time today, Kash, and thank you for everybody listening. We will, I don't know what I'm saying. We appreciate likes, subscribes, and comments, and Kash will personally thank you in the next episode if you leave your name in a comment. And I tell you what, if anyone's listening to this and they want to write a comment on YouTube, I'll read it out exactly whatever it says. So you can write whatever you want, and I'll just read it out at the start of the next episode with absolutely no context, including if it's from Josh and Beck, who helped run this. See if they actually listen to the end. I'm sure Beck does. Okay, well, thank you again, Kash, and thank you for everyone listening.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we'll see you on the next episode. We need a cool sign off, actually, like something cool to say at the end. Like, see you on the next.
We'll think of it next episode.
Yeah. It's not materializing in my head now or my mouth. So, all right, okay, cheers and bye.